You want to know the most traumatic thing about being SA'd as a child when you become an adult? For me, the most traumatic thing about that is realizing how unprotected you were. Once you open those gates, y'all know that I have shared my story about being SA'd as a child because of the person who SA'd me as a child was teaching children in Georgia. I shared my story and got that motherfucker removed from the school. In doing that, a part of my healing journey started that I never anticipated to step into. I didn't even realize how traumatic these circumstances was until I spoke up and said something. But it wasn't even what he did to me that is causing the highest level of trauma that I never even expected to endure. What he see, because a pedophile is going to do what they do. Okay? It's fucked up what he did, but that wasn't the traumatic part. The traumatic part was me realizing how unprotected I was. There were so many adults around me, women, who would be on us about our uncles and our cousins and the deacons at the church and all these, strangers. But the fact that this man had access to me the way that he did, the fact that he got away with the shit that he got away with, shit that my own blood relatives couldn't even get away with. He got away with shit like that. The fact that he was able to master manipulate the women in my family based off of filling the void. There were no strong men in my family. Still ain't. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no protection for the women. And once you become an adult, especially, I became an adult of 5 daughters. God knew what he was doing. Once I became an adult and became a mother and realized what it takes to be a mother and to protect your children, it helps you understand how unloved, unprotected you were. And that right there, that shit is more traumatic than anything. Because you feel, the little kid inside of you, the little girl inside of me, it comes out when I think about this situation and I talk about this. The little girl in me comes out like, why wasn't I loved enough to be protected? Why was I fed to the monster? Out of all the kids, why me? Then when I told, you know what I mean, for most of my family to betray me and turn their back on me, like I was lying, when most of them have been SA'd as a child, realizing the gravity of the protection of the violator, of the predator, realizing how protected they are and how unprotected you are, that is where the trauma comes in at. It's intense. I am what I consider a pretty strong person. It takes a lot to make me cry. It takes a lot to get me frazzled. Most people that know me, if they could use different words to describe me, strong would be one of the words. I have broken down so many times over the last week. I've had a couple of anxiety attacks. I've had episodes where I feel like I can't breathe because I didn't realize I never grieved this whole situation. When I told and nobody believed me, well, not nobody, but most of my family didn't believe me, and none of the family decided to do anything about it, to press charges on this motherfucker. Nobody did nothing about it. So I moved on with my life and I let it go. Never in a million years to think that I would revisit this. But God had a plan. God had a plan for these babies at Rockdale County High School in Konya, Georgia. Never in a million years did I think that he was going to use me in my situation to wake up the folks in Conyers, Georgia, because them motherfuckers over there sleep. The adults, they sleep on the kids. The trauma comes in when you realize how unprotected you were. That shit right there breaks my heart more than anything, because a monster gonna do what a monster does. So that in itself, it breaks my heart what happened to me and what he did. I remember every single thing that he did, but the most traumatic part about it is understanding how unloved and unprotected you were by your own family. That's the worst part about it. So those of you who feel like you want to share your story, share your story, but mentally prepare yourself for the trauma that you will endure. You will revisit that pain. It will hit your ass like a ton of bricks. My chest still feel heavy. My breathing be labored. Just even thinking about this situation. And it's mostly how hurt my family has caused me. To find out that his ex-wife, my cousin, and him convinced their children and my other cousins that was around them that I was crazy. For the mother of the children, my cousin, to tell her children that I was crazy, didn't have 2 more kids with him, and allow them and so many others to be violated. That's where the trauma kicks in at, because it's like, bitch, really? I really used to be mad at God, like, why me? Why me? But now I see it is millions of us. And I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to speak out about their situation. I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to speak out, but I see that me speaking out saved thousands of kids, mothers, single mothers, from being manipulated by this monster. It's incredible to me how powerful social media is. And I want to use my platform to spread awareness about these type of situations, because these babies are not protected. And even unhealed, unloved women that were kids that become adults, they are also being violated and manipulated by these monsters. They get handpicked, just like the wife he got now, and my cousin, his ex-wife. Women who are unloved, who don't have strong men in their lives, fathers, brothers, cousins, that will come for that nigga head. Men like that, they I mean, this whole thing is devastating, because even though I got SA'd by him as a child, hundreds of people have been affected by this person. Rodney Bradley, specifically, in Conyers, Georgia. Thousands of people have been affected by this motherfucker. And I say thousands because I feel like that's the number. Please be aware of the trauma that you will be inviting yourself to if you want to open up and share your story. If that's what you want to do, I encourage anybody that wants to do that, I encourage you, but be careful. Be careful, because I put my heart back together, super glued it, duct taped it and shit. And now it's right back into pieces. And I'm slowly picking them up and putting them back together. This is why I had to reconnect with my husband. He is my rock. I mean, I tried to divorce this man for my own selfish reasons, for little shit. And God let it be clear that he sent me. He sent us to each other for a reason. This will be year 27. If it wasn't for him and God and my children, I don't know how we'll begin through this trauma. Be careful, y'all, sharing your story. It's very traumatic. It's very traumatic to your soul. So be careful sharing y'all trauma, okay? It's your girl, the Mindset Mistress. I love y'all. Y'all have a good day.